How's it going, guys? Cody back again, dropping yet another video. Right, guys, it's 10 to 4 in the morning. I'm extremely tired. My brain's really not focusing, but I've got a few statistics and facts to run over the last few days from Wednesday up to yesterday. Reference confirmed cases of coronavirus, how many prisoners were self-isolating, how many confirmed cases there are in prisons, in prison officers, and stuff like that, guys. I'm going to be reading it off my phone, so let's just jump straight into it. So, on Wednesday, the number of prisoners self-isolating was 968, up 176 on the day before. Two prisons are not transferring prisoners in or out: Birmingham or Lachey. Lachey is 100% sex offenders prison. Several others have restrictions on transfers: Manchester, Oakwood and Wandsworth. Prison latest: 27 prisoners in England and Wales have tested positive for COVID-19 across 14 prisons. They include Wandsworth, at least 7 cases; Manchester, Cookham Wood, Leeds, Birmingham, Oakwood, Wymont, Ley Hill, Pentonville, Huntercombe, Barton Moss Secure Children's Home. And then it goes on to say, spread of the virus in prisons was widely predicted. The staff absence rate, which doesn't include non-COVID related illnesses, by the way, appears to have risen faster than expected. This will be of an immense concern to the Ministry of Justice and put further pressure on them for early releases. It goes on. 5 prison staff have tested positive for COVID-19 across 5 prisons. 4 prisoner escort and custody service staff have tested positive. On Wednesday, 6,644 prison staff were absent because of COVID-19 related issues, up 1,042 on Tuesday, and 20%, and it's almost 20% of the workforce, guys. And then check this out. This was a post from yesterday. Just listen to this. Latest prison figures, right? So again, it goes on. 27 prisoners tested positive for COVID-19 across 14 prisons, 5 staff across 5 prisons. MOJ, listen to this. MOJ are not informing families. They say the prisoner is responsible for relaying such news. So if you've got a loved one in prison and they get confirmed case of coronavirus, they're not going to tell you. Now that could be, he might have mild symptoms and he could be rushed to hospital. They don't tell you if your loved one's been rushed to hospital. The reason they don't tell you, because it's a security risk, and they have a security conscious way where they think that you could turn up and spring him and everything else. They're playing God with prisoners' lives, guys. It's as simple as that. Now look at that, 6,000. What is it? Let me get that statistic back up 1 second. I can't. Just astronomical. How many staff are off? 6,644 staff are off. That's not just prison officers. I think that's like Her Majesty's Prison and Probation Service, probation officers, custody officers, prison officers, and escort staff as well. 6,644 are off with corona symptoms or confirmed. They're saying there's only 5 in 5 prisons, guys. One thing I need you to be aware of, right? For those people that are out there that think, well, if it's not in a newspaper, it's not real. Do me a favor. Open your eyes, right? These stories, the reason that the prisons don't tell the families is because the families will just run to the media. And that's the right thing to do, by the way, right? So if they don't tell we'll just expect the prisoner to tell them. They've got a duty of care to the prisoner, but they're not going to inform his loved ones if he gets COVID-19, whether it's mild symptoms or whether it's severe. It's going to be down to the prisoner to tell the prisoner's families. And what happens if he hasn't got a phone in his cell and he's only allowed out for an hour a day, half an hour a day? He's allowed a 10-minute phone call. He might have to wait X amount of hours to get that phone call off. I'm sorry, but friends and family of prisoners have a right to know what is going on with their loved ones within prison. But the thing is, guys, they don't want stories getting out. And like I said, there's people out there that think, well, Cody, we're hearing rumours of confirmed cases and this and that. But because it's not in the paper, I don't believe it. I've had texts saying that. Open your eyes, people, please, right? Prisons are, they push propaganda. You've got prisons that have got Twitter accounts, and all they do is push the positive. They suppress the negative, push the positive, push the positive. It's called propaganda, guys, right? When you're seeing these stories about confirmed cases in the media, right? Do you think that the prison, as soon as a prisoner falls ill, do you think they're like, right, yep, can you get onto the press office? Yeah, put a press release out. Let them know that we've got prisoners that are dropping like flies to the coronavirus. Do you think that happens? No, of course it doesn't happen, guys. Come on, right? And you know what the thing is, right? There's two reasons that more confirmed cases have not got out. Number one, they're not testing prisoners. They've got symptoms, so we'll assume they've got it and they'll self-isolate. So you're not confirming it. You're not denying it. You're not confirming it. So it doesn't go down to confirmed case. Number one, right? Number two, they're not testing prisoners, right? Do you think that these private prisons, like you've got public sector, you've got private sector prisons, it's all about wonga. It's all about first aim, last aim, financial gain. Do you think they're forking out hundreds of pounds for coronavirus tests to test staff and to test prisoners? No, of course they're fucking not. Right, open your eyes. And the third reason, guys, that these stories are not getting out is because the prisons are doing a good job at keeping a lid on it. If your loved one rings you tomorrow and tells you he's got COVID-19, if you don't grab the phone and contact me, you don't have to contact me, I'm nobody, but if you don't go to the local Google, whatever newspaper, National Daily Mirror, contact, ring them, local paper, Google the thing, get the number, contact them, email them, let them know. My loved one's in that prison. They don't give a shit. He's locked up 23 hours a day, 23 and a half hours a day. He's got confirmed case of coronavirus. Get it out there, because the more people that let the media know, the media then, for those that don't know, for those people that haven't been involved with the media, right, I'll explain, right? So you ring the media and say, right, there's confirmed case in this prison, or my boyfriend's got it, or my partner's got it, or whatever the case may be, right? You ring the paper. The paper then, what they'll do, they will ring the press office at the Ministry of Justice, or if it's a private prison, they will contact Sodexo press office, G4S, Serco, whoever the prison's run by, right? And then what they will do is say, we believe that there is a confirmed case of the coronavirus. This is the prisoner's name. As much details as you can give the paper, right? Then the more details you give them, the better the chance the prison are forced to admit it. If you just say, yeah, some kid think he's got coronavirus, he's in this prison, I don't know what wing, and just, you leave it light and air there, right? When the first thing, right, if someone passes an info to me and I ring up a paper, first thing's going to ask me, what wing, prisoner's name, like, let's say it was a death in custody, right? God forbid, right? They want to know what name, what wing, how much. The more information you've got, the better. If I just go and say, yeah, I believe a guy called John, he died about 2 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, in the last 6 months, right? The prison will just deny it. I can't stress enough how much the prison, right? You might think, oh, it's a prison, Cody. They don't do this. They've got to be above board. Are you having a laugh? Kids are dying in prison, right? And they do, like I said, if you've got a loved one in prison, right? And I'm not trying to fearmonger, I'm not trying to scare anybody, right? There was a story the other day where they projected, you know how they do all these things where they guess and they say, right, we believe there's going to be, we estimate there's going to be this many deaths, right? Prisons have been told to expect high mortality rates. Liverpool, Walton Prison and Oak Course Prison have been told like that they're going to find somewhere in the prison to put bodies. You look at the Excel Centre in London, it's 1 kilometre long, right? And there's going to be 4,000 people there they're going to double it up as a hospital. Here in Manchester, you've got the Manchester Convention Centre, the GMX, right? Manchester Central, as it's known now, right? Used to be a train station. It's a big like conference, massive, like a little arena thing, right? And that's gonna be set up as a hospital. What does that tell you guys about what they are expecting when it comes to people falling very, very ill of this virus? They're not setting all these things up and trying to recruit 250,000 people from the NHS, retired doctors, nurses and stuff to come back if they're not expecting a shitstorm. Now, like I said, I hope everyone's okay. I'm up for everyone just being okay, do you understand? But prisoners are so vulnerable and susceptible in this climate. Prisons, guys, are incubators and breeding grounds for infections and viruses. Then you look at old prisons, Victorian prisons, right? Strangeways and such prisons, Bedford, right? You look at these prisons, guys, run down, dilapidated, decrepit, dirty prisons. You're getting viruses. You're getting this virus, you can cough and you sneeze and it gets into the air, and you touch things and you touch your face and you touch surfaces and it stays on plastic for 3 days and it stays on there for a few hours. All these materials that these viruses hoard on are in prisons. And I'm sick of banging my head against the wall, guys. And if people don't start to help me, prisoners' friends, prisoners' families, people serving prison sentences, and don't start reaching out, I'm just going to drop it on the head because I can't. It's stressing me out. Look, listen to my voice. It's running me down because it's constantly. Today, a journalist hit me up and he answered me a load of questions. He asked me a load of questions on email and I sent him a massive reply. So detailed it took me hours to do, right? I am for prisons, guys. I can't stress it anymore, right? But me banging my head against the wall, I need people that are in the prison system to send me pictures of prison officers wearing masks or videos of prison officers wearing masks and gloves, right? I need people to send me videos of them talking, covered the face. I'm not after stitching anybody up. Cover the face, right? Talking about the coronavirus in prison, how it's affected the regime, what the mood is amongst other prisoners, what's the regime like, how's it working for meals, medication, things like that, right? Is there any tension in the air, right? What are they doing to protect prisoners, right? I'm crying out for these things, guys, because right now I'm trying. I might as well stand there and piss in the wind because it's going nowhere. I'm trying my best. If anyone that doesn't know that I've stepped up my game and I've really been trying and stuff, right? I really have. But what's the point in me trying if people are not going to help me? I'm not doing it for shits and giggles, guys. I'm doing it, and like I said, naively, maybe I believe that by keeping the spotlights on prisons and keeping these confirmed cases in the media, that what will happen, I'm hoping, it will put pressure on the Ministry of Justice so they start releasing prisoners. And like I've said, I'm not stupid, I'm not naive, I don't want them, we can't release all prisoners, right? So like I've said, low risk prisoners, right? For me, any prisoner that's in a Cat C and a Cat D, cut them free, right? Those prisoners that are on remand, you've got to deal with it on a case-by-case basis. If you've got a murderer there, you can't just release him and cut him free, can you? You know what I'm saying? Or it's like a high-profile case or something. You can't really do that. But prisoners are on short sentences. Female prisoners that are pregnant, prisoners that have got 12 months left, 8 months left, they should be cut free for me. I would release IPP prisoners, and people are like, oh, Cody, you wouldn't want an IPP prisoner living on the street where your mum lives. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Just because they're IPP prisoners, right? That whole tariff, that whole sentencing thing, right, was a European court decided it was unlawful, right? And that's why it was abolished, but not retrospectively, right? There's a kid that we covered yesterday, I think he's called something Weatherspoon or Weatherson, Daniel Weatherson, David Weatherson. He got a 15-month minimum tariff, right, for trying to steal a phone and a coal. He's been in prison, guys, for 14 years. Of course I'd release him. Just because he's been in prison and he was IPP'd off, it doesn't. IPP prisoners, right? Murderers work their way through the system. Those that are not given a whole life tariff, they might be Cat A'd off initially. Not all murderers are Cat A'd off, by the way. But then they might work their way from a Cat B. Eventually they'll get the Cat C. Eventually they'll get the Cat D. And then eventually they'll go before the pro board. They'll be released, right? Murderers. IPP prisoners have not committed murder. They're not. It's not the worst of the worst. It was really they used it far more widely than they should have done, right? And they're clogging up the system. And these prisoners are lost in the system. Let me tell you, no release date, guys. Wake up, haven't got a release date. Jumping through hoops, haven't got a release date. The courses that they need to go to be released they've been stopped, or they can't do the courses, or there's a backlog. This is the thing, guys, right? The facts are, right, they estimated, there was a story that I covered the other day, it's further down my timeline, and they estimated, these like highly educated people and stuff, right, they said that without the proper precautions being put in place for prisoners, which they're not, 800, they predict 800 prisoners will die. 800. Now, right now, we're a few days into a prison lockdown. We're a few days into visits being cancelled. At the moment, it's an irritable thing and it's not the best situation. And those prisoners that are thinking rationally are like, we understand it. It makes complete and utter sense. We get it. Other prisoners that don't think rationally, because if they did, they wouldn't have committed some of the crimes that they committed to be in prison. Right? So initially, it's like, oh, it's not the best. That will then become frustration. Frustration will then become like the more deaths that happen, that will become panic and anxiety, and then it will boil over into anger, right? And like I've said, when prisoners start to leave prison in the body bags at a higher rate, which unfortunately it's inevitable, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, just look what's happening on the out. This virus is now in prisons, guys. You've got 6,644 prison officers off with symptoms. 5 have been confirmed. And you might think, well, 5 out of 6,644 is not a lot. No, because like I said, those ones that get confirmed, the MOJ will keep a lid on them stories getting out. You've got to think how vulnerable the prison system is right now with this virus. Prison officers are off. If prisoners rioted right now, they take the system, right? And I don't want them to riot. I don't want it to come to that. Absolutely not. But I want prisoners to be released. Prisoners with underlying health problems. We've got 15% of the prison population have got respiratory problems, right? They've got underlying health problems. You've got prisoners, think of those prisoners that are locked behind the cell with significant mental health issues, right? That might have paranoid personality disorders. They might be paranoid schizophrenics, right? And that they've been told that there's this deadly virus that's now in prisons, and 2 prisoners have died so far that we know of, right? Think about where their heads are, guys. Their head's going to be all over. And then you've got kids with autism and Asperger's and stuff like that. You've got prisoners with underlying health problems, right? When you're on the outside, your health will deteriorate at a certain rate. When you're in prison, you're in overcrowded prisons, you don't have, the healthcare is so appalling and stuff. Your health deteriorates a lot worse than it does on the outside, right? And these prisoners are cooped up. And like I said, when you're at home, you can go home and lock your door and you're inside your little gaff and you can do what you want to do. In prison, you don't have that luxury. You're surrounded by other people. And yes, you're locked up. Another thing as well that's driving me insane, right? Prisoners that are working in prisons. I've heard of, at first it was Forest Bank, now it seems to be other prisons. Prisoners that working in prisons have not been paid for 2 or 3 weeks. What's all that about, right? Prisoners are having to beg for water. Prisoners are having to beg for toilet roll. Prisoners are having to beg for soap. Prisoners are having to they're trying to shower, they're trying to say hello to like 50 prisoners, right, yeah, go, right, you go shower, yeah, you come back, right, you right, unlock, yeah, lock you up, yeah, you can go for a shower, yeah, come back, quick as you can, 2 minutes, bam, bam, bam. This is what's going on within prisons, guys, right? They're fucking around with the mail, they're withholding mail, right? Visits, all visits have been cancelled. Some prisoners at Forest Bank went on exercise and they was given a football to kick around the yard, right? So much for social distancing. Yeah, this is what's going on, guys. And like I said, they're trying to distract prisoners. They're not giving prisoners footballs on the yard and trying to give them books and stuff and games and stuff to play out of the goodness of their hearts. No, no, no. They're trying to keep prisoners distracted and keep them occupied. Because if you don't keep them occupied, what's going to happen? They're going to kick off. This is it's inevitable, guys. I'm sorry, but it's inevitable. I just want the right thing to be doing. Right. This is the thing as well, what's annoying me, right? So they've cancelled prison visits and everything, right? They could have moved people onto closed visits, right? Which is still, it's not the best because you've got a glass screen in the way and there's no physical contact because of the screen, right? But they could have moved, they went from normal visits just to stopping visits straight away. And I'm like, wow, like knowing what can happen and taking visits away from prisoners, right? And their families, right? Could cause severe repercussions in a violent sense, right? So they could have gone from that to a closed visits or closed half the visiting hall and done it like that, right? Things like that, but they just went from visits to no visits, right? And they're giving prisoners, oh, you get a 5-minute phone call a day, you get a 10-minute phone call a day, you get a 10-minute phone call every 2 days, right? That's not going to replace a face-to-face visit, guys, right? Prisoners' food's been dished up and then it's been served. They go into the door, right, there's your food. It's cold. Eat it, like it or lump it, right? Mail's been fucked about with. Prisoners have not been paid that are working within prisons, in certain prisons that I'm aware of. I can't say that for all prisons. Prisoners are not being protected. They've been given a leaflet saying, yeah, do this, wash this, do this, don't do this, right? Most of these leaflets have been ripped up and put in the bin as soon as they got them. Right, it's a very, very dire situation, and it's frustrating for me because I'm literally getting run down. You can hear my voice and stuff, and it's getting me down because I'm trying to scream and bang the drum for prisoners, right? And that's not a popular thing, you hear me? Right? I'm trying to bang a drum for prisoners' families, right? But if people are not helping me, then what's the point in me trying to do what I'm trying to do, right? Today, right, I've been on the phone to a few journalists today. Lancaster Farms, right? I was sent a picture of a prisoner being escorted, cuffed behind his back, right? I don't know why he was cuffed, I know, but he was cuffed, right? And he had 4 officers around him in like white suits and masks and everything, right? It looks like he was cuffed to the rear. Like I said, it was definitely in a prison. It was in Lancaster Farms. They reckon they've got about 10 cases up there confirmed, right? So I'm trying to get it out in the media, right? HMP Berwyn today, Bala Uppers, which is a wing. You've got Bala D-lowers, you've got Bala Uppers, right? And apparently, from what I've been told, and I've got no reason to doubt it, there is a confirmed case at Berwyn on Bala Uppers. If you've got someone in Berwyn, do me a favour when they ring you. Ask them, say, is it true there's been a confirmed case on Bala Uppers? What I'm trying to do, my whole aim, right, and it's pointless me doing it because people are not helping me, is to try and, by getting more, I don't want there to be more confirmed cases in prisons, absolutely not, but I know it's happening, right, and I know the prisons and the prison system and the prison governors in your family's prisons and friends that are locked up in these prisons, they don't want these fucking stories getting out. I'm the one that's trying to open a lid and trying to get them out there. This is the thing. I'm not doing it I don't like being on the phone and mithering people. Answer yourself a question. You've got to think, why do I do this? I don't get paid a penny. I put a lot of time and effort into what I do, right? I don't earn a penny. Yeah, people say nice things. People like, oh, Cody, it's a nice thing you're doing and all that stuff. That's great. And it means a lot to me. It really, really does when people take the time out, right? I'm a dickhead. I'm not a prison expert. All it is I'm trying to beat the drum for prisoners, right? And it's not a popular thing that you're doing. People don't like it when you're speaking up for prisoners as an ex-con. Ew, you're a scumbag and people judge you. Let them judge me. If I was hit from an arsehole, I would fucking fart. Pipe down, shut the fuck up to those people, right? I am for prisoners. But I can't do what I'm trying to do in this current climate. I'm one man. I've got prison contacts and I give my time to a lot of people, right? And I don't earn a penny. And I still do what I'm doing. And I've turned down interviews, I've turned down documentaries, everything, right? Because in the past I'm talking about, but I'm trying to do this for prisoners. I don't earn a penny, and I'm still doing what I'm doing. But if people can't help me and are not willing to help me, I've had 2 prisoners yet. Yeah, Cody, listen, lad, I'll do you a video from jail talking about this and that, right? Do you know how big that video would go, right? Right now, you've got people, you've got academics, you've got these scientists, these dermatologists, all these professional healthcare world organizations and stuff, and Public Health England, they're all talking about prisons and the thingy. What I want to hear from is prisoners. I'm speaking to prisoners and I'm relaying what they're saying and their frustrations and everything. But a prisoner with his face covered, right, talking about prison and what they are doing and what they're not doing, and the regime and all these things, right, and how it's impacted the prison, and are they scared and stuff like that, right? That's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get pictures of letters from inside the prison that say this, 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 and this, and it's on letter-ready paper. It will end up in newspapers and magazines, and honest to God, if I get these videos, what it will do is giving prisoners a voice, and then what it's doing, people are like, oh, hell yeah. And then this is the thing, and we keep the pressure on the system, and we keep it in the spotlight and everything. And like I said, I don't get paid for it. I don't need to do it. I can fuck this off and just go back to my life. Do you understand? Right? But the thing is, I'm becoming growingly like anxious and pissed off and frustrated that I'm trying to do the right thing. And I'm tired. Listen to my voice. I'm knackered. I'm run down with it. Right? And I'm still trying. But I can't do what I'm trying to do if people are not going to help me. Like I say, I've got some great contacts, fantastic contacts. But what I'm lacking is proof. When someone says to me, oh, Cody, there's a confirmed case, right, that's brilliant, and I'll take it to the media, but if I can get proof or a picture or a video of a prisoner with his face covered, or pictures of letters from within inside the prison, it becomes like a real thing. They can't deny that then. But the prison bosses, what I'm trying to, like, me and other people, not just me, other people as well, are trying to break out stories and are trying to keep prisoners in the spotlight and coronavirus and release them. And by keeping the pressure on the system, and the more, unfortunately, the more prisoners that die, the more we've got an argument. But if people like me that are not trying to get stories out, what I'm doing, I'm actually part of the problem. I'm letting prison bosses keep a lid on the stories getting out. Do you think these prison stories and these prison governors want their prisoners in the headlines for the wrong reasons? No, of course they don't. People start asking questions and stuff, and media start sniffing around and putting in freedom of information requests or FOIs and stuff, and they start to, the press officers, and this is the thing, guys. But I can't do what I'm doing if people are not going to help me. I'm really, really trying. But if it starts the thing, I'm just going to leave the coronavirus thing, and it's going to go through prisons, and stories will still come out. But like I said, I make a point of trying to get these stories out. Like I said, there might be 27 cases in 14, 15 prisons, right? There's more. There's a lot more. But again, it's getting the story out. If your loved one rings you and tells you that he's got coronavirus, or one of the lads has got coronavirus, and you don't pass it on, then you're part of the problem. It's as simple as that. Guys, listen, I'm going around in circles here. It's literally like 4:20 Saturday morning. And this is my life, guys. Sitting here like a sado, begging people to help me, to help prisoners. If you've got a loved one in prison, I'm doing it for your loved one. Imagine, right? You could, like, someone, your loved one could tell you that someone in the prison's got coronavirus, or one of their boys on the wing or the next wing's got corona, right? You don't tell me, and then next week your loved one gets coronavirus, and then you want to tell me, and you want me to scream it from the rooftops. Prisons want to keep a lid on these stories getting out. They don't like deaths in custody getting out. They don't like bad HMI. Well, you can't really stop HMIP reports, Her Majesty's Inspector of Prisons reports. But they don't like deaths in custody getting out. Right? They don't like anything. They don't like negative stories getting out. That's why I do what I do. And I don't get paid for it, but I still do it. And if I ever go to prison again, I think I'd have a really rough time. But I'm not going back to jail. I just want to help prisoners, guys. Like I said, and that it's maybe it's a bit soft in me. Maybe I'm going soft in my old age. I want to help cons. I want to give them a voice. I want to give them a platform. I just want to help them. And like I said, I can't, there's no way that I can help them. But by keeping the pressure on the MOJ and getting these stories out, confirmed case, death, right? What it does, it keeps the spotlight on the prisons, and it keeps the spotlight, coronavirus, prisons. Yeah, it's horrific what's going on across the country, across the world, right? And my heart goes out to anyone that's lost someone to coronavirus or COVID-19. But my thing is prisons. That's what I'm about. And prisoners are sitting ducks. And like I said, they're given a prison sentence. They're not given a death sentence. But with this virus, it is a death sentence. If you get it, it's killed young people, it's killed old people. Like I said, so far we are only aware of 84 deaths. 84 deaths, 2 deaths, an 84-year-old sex offender at H&P Lachey, and the 66-year-old prisoner at Strangeways. They're the only ones we know about. Right? And if someone drops dead, if 2 prisoners drop dead tomorrow in a prison, right, it's not the prison that tell the media. You might think, oh, well, it ends up in the media, so they must tell them. No, does it, bars? Prison sources, prison officers that are sick to death of what's going on within prisons, or they don't like the job or their employer, they start ringing the thing and start, listen, I'll be anonymous, but just to let you know, there's been a death in custody. Goes down that way. Or the victims' families, they contact the papers. Coronavirus now isn't just, if someone gets it in Liverpool, in Walton Jail or Strangeways right now, again, right, it's not just a local story, it's a national story automatically. And like I said, guys, I'm being absolutely honest with you. The death rates in our country are going to soar, both inside prison and on the outside of prison. We saw what was going on in Italy, and it was thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of cases. And we didn't lock down till about 8 days ago. We've got it all to come, guys. We're a few weeks behind them. So we've got to play catch up. And when we play catch up, there's going to be a load of dead. Spain, same. And the thing is, when you look at the coronavirus and you look at prisons, right? Look at Colombia, right? 23 prisoners dead, 83 I think were injured, right? Look at Italy, 12 dead. I think there was 16 injured or something like that. Oh no, 16 people escaped. This was Italy. This is Colombia. Prison related, doesn't matter what prison you're in. Yeah, I wouldn't like to be in a South American prison, I'll tell you that much. But Colombia, like I said, riots and prison escape. Italy, riots, dead, prison escape. Coronavirus, prisons. And we've got the highest prison population in Western Europe. And all the prisoners are being treated like animals, guys. Like I said, having to beg for toilet rolls and water and shower gels and drinking water and clean bedding and to get on the phone and stuff like that if they haven't got in-cell telephones, right? All the ingredients are there for a very explosive finish and finale. And the prison system has long been a powder keg. And the more prisoners that die in prison, the frustration will become panic. The panic will become anger. The anger can see the whole prison system explode into violence. And if it does, the prisoners could take over, because 6,644 people off in the whole of prisons, probation, custody escorts, things like that. I don't want there to be riots. I need to make that very, very clear. But that's the way I see it going. Guys, if you've got someone in prison and they've got a camera phone or something, please like pictures of letters from within inside the prison, video of an officer wearing like a mask and gloves or whatever the case may be, talking to a prisoner with his face covered, talking to the camera, telling about their worries, their concerns, what the prisoner are actually doing. That will become a national story. If someone can get me a video like that, I promise you don't even have to send it to me, right? But I promise you it will go national. It will be on Sky News, BBC News, ITV News. It will go on every news channel, local, national, talking about this, because we need to hear from prisoners. I've even had like news channels saying, Cody, have you got a kid in a certain prison that we can talk to about this? And because I'm not a stitch-up merchant, I'd only ever let it be where a prisoner can ring the journal and withhold the number and then talk to them from within inside the jail. Anyway, guys, I've waffled on long enough. It is now 4:25. But there's no point me keep doing what I'm doing if people are not going to help me. I can just sit back. I'm fine. I can just sit back and watch prisoners die and not give a shit. It's not going to change my life, is it? But I actually care. That's the difference. But I can't do it without people helping me. Yeah. If you've got a loved one in prison, God bless them. Never go to bed on an argument. Be there at the end of the phone. Let me know your experiences. Put your comments in the comment section below. Let me know. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go because I'm shattered. Right, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.